Let's do a checklist. David starts. Sparkling water. Microphone. Zipper. Headphones. Okay. Well, now that our checklist is complete, we can start our show. Welcome to Staircase to Nowhere. I am David, and I am glad to spend the evening with you. I've got a nice off-brand sparkling water, strawberry mango, keeping me company. I've already finished it, though, so it's not keeping me company anymore. But you know who is keeping me company tonight? Two of my goodest, bestest boyfriends. Oh, nope. Two of my best friends.
There's no editing.
Planet. No editing. Great. You can use that against me. In the entire world. Sam, who are you?
Thank you, David. I'm Sam. I'm also best boyfriends with these two guys on this call, just like David is, and I'm just glad to be here. We're gonna really be proud of this introduction here. I'm gonna popcorn it to our third boy,
Our boyfriend,
Mr. Nem.
Hey guys, I'm Noah. I'm one of the bestest boyfriends, and this is your Ministry Culture podcast. I'm a director of youth and local outreach in Atlanta, Georgia. Not an elder yet. Someone asked me today. I am not technically an elder.
No, absolutely not. No one on this call thought you were.
It's Noah the Younger, not Noah the Elder.
Noah the Younger. Well, guys, I went to a festival this week and I had a street preaching experience.
Oh, was it you or did it happen to you?
Oh,
no,
wait,
it was happening to me.
Oh, I got my
You got street preached at.
I was street preached.
Okay.
There was street
the word is prot.
I was street prot. And so we went down to Piedmont Park, which is the biggest park in Atlanta. And there was an art festival. It's the historic...
Independent fact check.
Yeah.
Historic Piedmont Park, designed by the Olmsteads. Sam knows all about them.
Yes.
He designed your park and Central Park.
Yes, he designed a bunch of the parks in Louisville and Central Park.
So anyway, right by Piedmont, there is what's known as the Rainbow Crosswalk. It's a crosswalk that has been painted the colors of the rainbow flag for LGBT pride and stuff. And there was a few guys who had set up there with a microphone and a sound system. And
a podcast? They were doing a podcast?
They were doing a podcast.
Live podcast.
It was Charlie Kirk. Yeah.
It was not. No, it was someone who was he was trying to preach the gospel, and he was there. He had some other guys there that were handing out tracts too, and so it definitely made me uncomfortable, and then I had to grapple with why was I feeling so uncomfortable, and it was just very interesting hearing like what he was saying. Like, number one, like I can't even really imagine trying to like preach for like hours, but like knowing that people are only going to hear you for like 2 minutes. You know, like how do you give a message in like 2 minutes, but then you have to do it for like hours, right? So it's not like you can give like a normal sermon because people don't get to hear the whole thing. So he was like saying something about like, well, how are you going to know God if you don't read your Bible? And God tells us what he's like in the Bible. And he was like just reading scripture and like reading different passages. And I heard multiple people like yelling at him. And I couldn't really make out what they were saying. But he had a microphone. And so everyone could hear what he was saying. But it sounded like people were kind of like trying to drown him out or were like yelling. And and then when we walked past on the crosswalk, one of the guys handed us a tract and said something like, really care about you. And so they like seemed to have like really good heart about it, you know, like wanted to let us know that they cared for us. I like took the tract and said, thank you so much, you know.
Did you read
and I
tract?
Opened it up and took a look, and it was a long form kind of tract it seemed like it was an article that was written by someone like a long time ago. And so it was very like these and thous and kind of old timey. So yeah, it was just very interesting. Like me and my wife went to the park. We went to go have fun, and then I encountered some believers who like were taking their Saturday to try to proclaim the gospel to strangers in a place that is marked with the colors of the pride flag. And yeah, I don't know. I just had lots of feelings about it, and so I wanted to like bring it up to you guys.
Did you feel like it was effective? Like, were they?
I did not.
Were they accomplishing their aims?
Did you go up to the altar?
Okay, so here's the thing. Like, it's impossible for me to know if it's effective or not, right? But I definitely like felt like maybe I felt like ashamed. Like, why am I not doing this? You know. And I also was reminded of like teaching on the APEST giftings, the apostles, prophets, evangelists, shepherds, teachers.
Hey, that's a callback to a former episode.
Callback.
Yeah, have you ever heard of it? They the one reading I did said like the evangelists always make people uncomfortable. Like, and they make like other APEST gifts uncomfortable. And like that's a good thing. Like they need to kind of like jostle us awake and like get us out of our comfort zones and stuff. So,
well, allow me. Can I create a spectrum of things? That's what I love to do on this show. So we'll consider this. I can't believe I haven't told you guys. I went and did this last week before we were calling. But on Wednesday, I went to a live podcast recording with Malcolm Gladwell, Drew Holcomb, and Lee Camp here at the Louisville Palace here in Louisville. And Lee Camp is a theologian and podcaster who's basically get this, all the things we've talked about with like conversation and like how to teach. He created the show, the live show there's like this incorporation of music and storytelling and conversation, all trying to like drive home like this kind of one point or idea. And I was like, oh, this is what church should be at its best. LOL. But I think I'm bringing this up. I think it's a cool connection because you encountered a street preacher and who is trying to engage a very secular space. If they are preaching at a public park at a rainbow intersection, like they're putting themselves there for a reason to try to engage a very secular space. And I would argue that Lee Camp is also trying to engage a very secular space. He was bringing in Malcolm Gladwell is like Christian adjacent, but he's like, yeah, I'm not he's kind of in that space, but lots of more liberal people were in that audience who were not Christians here in Louisville. And he was hosting a conversation about I won't spoil it because the podcast is coming out. I don't know. It's worth go follow his podcast. I'll link it in the show and be on the lookout for the live recording. It was cool, but it was these ideas that brought out Christian ideas, and it actually Malcolm Gladwell ended up asking some very pointed questions about the Bible and faith, and Lee got to answer them from stage and like entertain these entertain these faith dialogues just very honestly, and I would say very with a winsome heart. Like it was like, hey, I think I'm right. And I would like to convince you, but I'd also like to still share a stage and share a microphone with you so we can talk it out. So this was not planned, this show tonight, but it's just funny. Like I'm thinking about trying to engage a secular space, these two very different ways of trying to do it, I guess, of like trying to be not overtly Christian and have a conversation about these ideas. Then what you saw on the street in Atlanta was like going to the heart of maybe controversy and just with a microphone being like, this is what God has said. So that's not me coming home with a point or anything. That's just naming two different experiences we had this week about people trying to engage the culture with the gospel, two very different ways.
That's so interesting.
Which is honestly a perfect transition to our main subject tonight. It's a mailbag episode.
Here's the mail. It never fails. It makes me want to wag my tail. When it comes, I want to well.
Seamless transition. No.
Wow. Very good. Very good. Maybe you need to write us mail about why I didn't get up there with the microphone with the guy, or about Sam's experience. So write us an email. It's staircasepod@gmail.com. Staircasepod@gmail.com. It's
Forward
Gmail 'cause it's
slash
free.
/ Malcolm Gladwell podcast.
All right. Well, we've got 2 excellent questions today. I'm going to start off with one from former guest of the pod, Trey Calvin.
Oh my goodness.
Whoa, Trey.
Trey's back, you guys.
He's a
He
level
said-
6 stepper, isn't he?
Oh, get ready for what he says.
Okay.
Actually,
okay.
David. He said, "Hey, y'all, Trey Cal from Amarillo. I'm a longtime listener, past STN guest, level 3 stair stepper.
Whoa, I'm sorry
There
I
are
gave you...
levels to this.
I'm guessing I gave you a better number or a worse number, so I'm sorry for I did not appropriately number you.
That's funny that you guys both thought, what are the levels of steppers here?
Hilarious.
He said, hope y'all are well. I've been enjoying the newest season and the variety of discussions. Ironically, after listening to the social media episode, we happened to talk about our approach to marketing at church and came to the conclusion we'd be seriously scaling back our efforts on social media. We're focusing more on signage like banners and a billboard, maybe. We've got a lot of people that have been attending for years just because they saw an old sign where we almost built a new building. Since we're across the street from an elementary school, our children's pastor once a month plans to get the local snow cone stand to set up after school so they can invite families to church and give out free snow cones. I think socials can be good for reaching out to some people like college students, but most of our church has come through personal invitation or seeing a good old-fashioned sign.
Good old-fashioned sandwich sign.
Isn't that interesting, you guys?
Yeah.
People are actually listening to our podcast and doing something about it with their church.
That's crazy. In the technical definition, we have influenced at least one person to do one thing.
We are an influence.
influencers. I'm updating my LinkedIn right now as we speak.
Yeah.
Well, our first episode, if you remember, said pastors are not influencers, but now
We're
none of us are pastors.
At one point,
This podcast ruined us.
we chose the path of
Everybody
influencer.
leaves the past. We established day one you can't be both. So we
all
we
chose
picked
the
the
right.
path.
Yeah.
We picked one.
we're a lot of things, but we ain't no hypocrite. We are.
Oh my gosh. Well, just so
Just
you guys
kidding,
aren't fearing for our souls, we really don't have a big influence here. Okay.
Yeah, we're just
Anyway,
kidding.
continuing with Trey, he said, anyways, I have a few questions I've been considering sending you guys, but I think I'll stick to one question per email.
Thank you.
We appreciate that. So, in a lively discussion the other day, some friends and I were discussing a practice we've seen at a certain large church network. Most people would know this ministry. Should we guess what it is?
Yeah. Do it. I'm just going to say the
don't
word
know.
Baptist.
Hey, this church often starts its services with secular music. For
Ooh.
example, I recently saw one location play a Foo Fighters song recently.
I mean, they are fighting Foo, so that's fair.
Yes.
We don't fight against flesh and blood, but against
The
foe.
The Hebrew word for Satan is foo.
Independent
Fact
fact checker, can we get... Yeah.
They've come back that Piedmont Park is not the largest, and foo is not the Hebrew
The
word.
devil.
Yeah. And
Now-
Malcolm Gladwell is more Christian than he is not. I'm also making that thing. Sorry, go ahead. Sorry, keep going.
Now, I often hear it's a welcoming thing for new or non-believers, or
Okay.
a way of using our gifts to glorify God. My question is it appropriate for churches to use time in service dedicated to playing secular music? Why or why not? I find it interesting that churches can make time in service for this, yet can only make time for communion on a quarterly basis.
Oh, Trey.
Whoa. Catching strays
Oh,
tonight.
I
Trey.
think he knows the answer to his question here. He says, speaking from past personal experience there. Would love to hear your thoughts on this. Also have questions for the future I can send regarding small groups and the Old Testament. I will send later.
Thank
All the
you.
best.
Nice. Yes, please.
He's our number
So
one
much to look
content
forward to from
producer,
Trey.
honestly.
Welcome. Our campaign is Beat Trey. If you're a listener and you want to submit more questions than Trey, it's on you. Do your thing. But he has the lead right now.
My first thing, I have had, I don't know, a few experiences like this. So I've never like been a member or like an active participant in a church like this. But when I was at seminary, I tried to visit a bunch of different churches. And the biggest church in, do I say the town? Because I feel like that'll say too much information. The biggest town in this city in Kentucky, or the biggest church in this city in Kentucky that's not the city that Sam lives in, a different large city in Kentucky. I visited the largest church in that town, and when I walked into this, I think, half a mile long building, I heard from the main, I'm not going to say sanctuary because that's not the appropriate term in this space. The main, what do you guys call that room? The main venue,
auditorium,
worship center,
the theater. I heard Katy Perry's "Wide
Stage
Awake."
A. Yeah.
Katy Perry's "Wide Awake" being performed live by the worship band, and I said, "Oh, I thought it was Sunday. Maybe did I have my days mixed up?" And then I walked down into worship space A, walked in, and then they said, "How many of you need to be wide awake?" or something along those lines.
So I'm they put the words on the screen.
Yeah.
Like
maybe
it's
I won't
some
tell the
liturgy
story.
we're supposed to be singing.
All good questions.
Great question. So, okay. First response, if we're going around the horn in this whole thing, Trey's asking, what's he asking again? Like, is there a place for this?
Well, we know what he's asking.
Well, I know.
He's saying, tell us why we shouldn't have churches spend time playing secular music when they won't do communion.
We get it. I'm just trying to handle the question fairly.
That's fair,
what is he asking? And that's a great story to like ground it in this is a real experience that we've had before. I think I would say that to me that begs the question you're asking as a church of like, who is church for, right? Is the church for a faith professing Christian who is like coming to worship and be grow in discipleship and sanctification? Or is the church for people who are not believers, curious about faith, looking for answers to some of their questions? Or is the church for both of those people? So in an effort to try to make space for both of them, you try to be creative and make people feel comfortable with, oh, I know that song. And they're not singing about blood and dying and coming back to life. Like, I feel a little more comfortable here. I am more of the mindset that church is for Christians and we just, as the church, can be unapologetic about like, yeah, we worship God here. And this is how we use hymns and we use spiritual songs to do that. And I think it feels out of place to use secular music to try to hook people in, especially if you're going to like imitate a worship experience. I think that's confusing. If you're going to like dim the lights and put words on the screen for a Katy Perry song, the same way you would dim the lights and put words on the screen for Rock of Ages, just feels like odd to have both of those things happening at the same time. To me personally. Noah, care to comment?
Sure. I'll give you a perhaps justification.
There we go.
Yeah.
So I worked for Youth for Christ. Youth for Christ is youth evangelism agency. It's all about reaching lost kids. And so we would have YFC camp, and YFC camp was not really church camp. It was camp for kids far from God that have never heard the gospel before. So like a lot of church camps have like a swimsuit policy. YFC camp had zero swimsuit policy. It's
No
just like, we're
swimsuit
glad you're
policy.
here, right? We're not going to let the swimsuit distract you from hearing about the gospel.
The 3 B's, baby.
Oh,
So in the first few sessions of YFC camp, also they follow the same curriculum every year, and the first session is always called Hear Me Out. And so it's not even really like presenting the gospel yet. It's basically just like, will you please hear me this week? Share the gospel with you. And so in their services, they have a band every year, but always the beginning sessions, the band will play secular songs. And the mindset here is, and they'll even put the words on the screen.
Nice.
Like I remember Ed Sheeran Thinking Out Loud being played in this way, and like some Coldplay song. And the reason they're doing this is to get kids who have never been in a environment where they're going to like sing songs together with words on a screen, like comfortable with doing that. Because if they started with a Christian song when they're not Christians and they've never had this experience, they would probably just drop out. And so they give them this like, we're going to sing some songs all together, and here's one you might know. And then throughout the night and throughout the week, they do less of the secular music and more worship songs. They introduce them, and by the end, like, they've got these non-Christian kids worshiping, and many of them are making professions of faith, and it's like a really exciting thing to see, like this progression go from hear me out to like believing the gospel and receiving Jesus. Yeah. And so that's an environment where I think a case can be made for let's do secular songs for people who aren't used to it. But that is a room that is expected to be 90% non-Christian. And I don't think that's a church service on a Sunday morning. I think the setting is not right to try to have someone who's been a Christian for 30 years like sing a Katy Perry song in the time that we devote to worshiping Jesus. It just doesn't seem right.
Yeah, I think you're and I would love that. I think there's other times where I'm not like never. I think it'd be cool like if your church is hosting a block party, or you're, doing church at a public park in the city or something that's like an outward facing event. That's like, this is not, maybe not even, church in the park, but like, this is a specific outward facing event to try to engage our community. I think it would be a neat thing to, have your band play some familiar secular songs that people are like, oh, I know that song. Look, live music. And then in that set, that same band is also, giving glory to God and inviting people to, fellowship and stuff like that. So I just think that that's different than a church service. And I think that it can have its place. And I don't think every single thing a church band does, outside of a Sunday morning service needs to be a Hillsong set. But it could be a cool tool. I just think Sunday morning should not be the place for that, is my thought. David?
I have 3 addendums I'd like to add to this, if that's acceptable to the court. I'll allow it. That's a callback. Number 1, I would say that church would classify themselves as a seeker church, right? So we have to look at the context. So they would say they exist for the not members, right? So their whole entire focus is on the people of that surrounding community who did not grow up in church or maybe had a negative experience with church. And so they would probably fit that classification of like, our worship service is not for believers, is probably how they would classify that. Number 2, while you were talking, I had a core memory pop up of I was an active participant in a non-worship song being performed in a worship setting.
You did this.
Oh my goodness, David.
One summer I interned at a church, a mega church in northern Indiana. and it was Father's Day Sunday, and it was like my first week as an intern, and they're like, oh, "You're a college kid. You're going to help with this." And I said, "Yes, please." And so
You are paying me $3 an hour.
It was $9 an hour. Thank you. And so they parodied Michael Jackson's Thriller to Griller, and it was a song about Father's Day. And so I danced. I forget the
Thriller
motions.
Excellent.
At that church. So I just
'Cause
figured
he's a griller.
I need to, I
Confess.
I bring that up. And then the last one, an actual meaningful one, is historically, most of the hymns that we sing were bar songs, were tunes
Good one.
that the normal man would know, and then they were rewritten to glorify God, right? So that maybe throws a wrench into our plan of maybe, yes, in their original intent, it might be problematic if it's parodied. I don't know if parodied would not be the correct term, but if it's
contextualized.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
like this is how people sing here. So we're gonna, as the church, we're gonna create music that invites people to worship God, and that's cool. And I think that that's even more of a case for like, don't just sing the bar song, like help people.
What do you do with a drunken sailor? No. What do you do with a risen savior?
What do you do with a risen savior? Early Sunday
Easter morning.
Happy Easter, everyone. So there you go. That's what churches should be doing.
We did it. We solved it.
Yeah, I think we're all pretty much in agreement on that. Or
Yeah.
I think, I don't want to, beat a dead horse, but my big thing is like, who is church for? If you're doing something that is for Christians, like, do the thing, like, just
Be Christian.
be
If
Christian.
you don't feel like you
and
can be Christian at church, where can you be Christian?
Yeah, I feel like if there's any place to be unapologetic about, like, yeah, we just sing worship songs, it's Sunday morning at church. And I think if you as a community want to do some outreach or create space for people who are, questioning or curious, to have an arts night where you showcase, singer-songwriters in your church or talent in your church that's an incorporation of worship and people can invite their friends and stuff, like, that's different.
That
and that's
great.
cool. That's awesome. But let's Sunday morning be about the resurrection. It doesn't have to, like, just do that. God. So anyways,
and
that's my
take
thought.
communion.
Take communion.
What
Maybe
is
on a
not
regular
taking
basis.
communion?
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe the Anglicans were right. I don't know.
All the cool churches are doing it every week now. I don't know.
Yeah. David's like, where have you been? Did we
All
have?
right, we
did
got
ha-
another
Yeah.
question.
Did we? I know you said we had another email, so we should
Yep.
get to that.
So this one is from Colin D, listener since 2023.
Wow, we've been doing this since 2023.
Yeah, we have. Yeah.
Shout out us.
Yeah. That was only last year,
Colin.
right?
Thank you, Colin.
He said, I would love to hear your thoughts on the rise of biblical TV shows. In the past couple of
Gaither Pond.
years, we've had the rise of The Chosen, The House of David, which is David's reign, is found on Amazon Prime, The Promised Land, which is Exodus in the style of The Office on Hulu, to name a few. What do you think it says about the state of Christianity, if anything? And how should a Christian interact with these things? Or should they? Thanks, Colin.
I love that. Or should they?
Do not interact. Stay away.
Have you, or David, have you seen any of these? I've watched maybe the majority of The Chosen. I'm not totally up to it, but have you seen any of the other shows, like the House of David shows or anything like that?
We watched the trailer of The House of David.
Okay.
And decided not to watch it.
I watched the same story.
I'm just making sure we level set in this conversation.
Watch the trailer for House of David.
So none of us have watched these.
I watched 10 minutes of that Office style one on YouTube. and then
Yeah.
Okay.
watched first 2 seasons of The Chosen.
Okay. So to be clear, none of us are coming to this question we have not watched these shows in their entirety. We're just maybe speaking broadly about the state
fact that they exist.
That they exist. So this is not a endorsement or condemnation of the content necessarily of all of them. Just kind of like, hey, this is the first time that we've had big time Christian TV shows at, like, sharing streaming platforms with Stranger Things and The Bear. Like, is this good? Is this bad? How should we think?
Yeah. I mean, there's also the King of Kings film, which is an animated film about the life of Jesus that is purporting to be the first animated Christian feature film since Prince of Egypt.
Okay.
So that's out
Jonah.
this week. And
Jonah, VeggieTales.
I've got a coworker who's, what are they thinking? Obviously. But yeah, I've got a coworker who's not a Christian who says that his wife is like requiring him to go to this and take the family. Like, we all need to go see the Jesus animated movie.
Okay, so I can start, or I can first thing. I would say, I think just in general, like, I would say more Christian media that's capturing people's attention and imagination is like a net positive. I would say, like, that's good. Like, I'm glad that it's there. I don't think that it's like, so I would just start with that. I would be weary of feeling like, I don't know. Like, I would be worried about feeling like, aha, we did it. Like, we're at the top of the streaming charts. Cause that's like not really the goal, or like, I think just viewing like, did we have a blockbuster hit? That's great. But were people's lives changed by the gospel? Like, that's not the same thing. So you can make a really good TV show, but that doesn't mean that people's hearts are being made alive again. So I think just making sure that we don't lose the plot or the main thing. So that's just one thing I would mention, is that we as Christians don't get like, hurrah, we're popular. And it's like, well, that's great. Like, that's cool, but that's not the main point of all of this. So that's one comment just off the top of my head.
Yeah, I feel like his comment, what do you think it says about the state of Christianity, is kind of referring to that. Like, should we think, oh wow, like Christianity is making a big comeback because there's all these TV shows about the Bible? I feel like what that says kind of about the state of Christianity is The Chosen is popular and producers are taking notice and they are happy to make money off of whoever will watch their stuff.
Yeah.
So like The Chosen was self-funded in a lot of ways.
Yes.
Like, they like had to ask for donations for those first few seasons. It was like a non-profit venture, and now it's on Amazon Prime and it's become very successful. It's in theaters. And so I think that there's kind of probably that desire among other production houses of, oh, how can we nab some of that? How can we get some of that market? Anywhere there's a market, film is going to make it.
Yeah.
They say, if you want gay kiss in Star Wars, we will give you a gay kiss in Star Wars.
That's a sad, cynical, but honest take that, yeah, there's money in it. Like, obviously. I think The Chosen proved that to studios when they're like, look, we crowdsourced this thing for millions of dollars and people paid us in advance for this show. So I think any studio is going to look at that and be like, there's money to be made here. And well, what do you know? All of a sudden we have all these, few years later, we have these large budget Christian shows in production. So that's a bummer. We just sound sad and cranky when we say it like that, but it's true. I think it's worth acknowledging that.
Well, yeah, I don't think it symbolizes, revival in America.
Yeah.
And I think that we'd be like remiss to say that this is what that means.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Did he ask how we should be engaging with it? Is that what he said?
Yeah. How should a Christian interact with these? David, what did you think of the Exodus show? Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I watched like first 10-15 minutes of that Exodus thing, and I didn't stop watching it just because I like felt like it was bad. Like it just was not funny. Like I didn't laugh. The jokes were canned and cheesy,
Oh,
not well written.
oh.
Like it just felt like they're trying so hard. So I'm like, maybe I should give it another shot. I also remember I got an ad, like 2 years ago about like a youth group parody of The Office too, and it's just like I feel like you were right now in the sense of like, oh, The Chosen made its money, so obviously every Christian ever wants to see ourselves reflected in our media, and so we need to make a youth group office, and we need to make an Exodus office, and well, maybe next week we'll do an office just like the seeing Jesus hanging on the cross. Wouldn't that be funny? It's like no, don't, no.
Gosh.
So I don't know.
Wow.
I'm gonna give it a little bit. I'll finish the episode. You hear that first, folks. I'm gonna
All
finish
right.
the Exodus.
Yeah, you get
episode.
back to us on that. That gets back to the conversation on Christian art that it just has to be good by the standards of the art form, right? So a comedy that's not funny is not going to be worth watching. You can't just support it because it's Christian. If it's just not funny.
Then it's a dead end. Yeah, I was going to ask in the Christian art conversation. Now, are we just like professional gripers if we're like Christians should just make good art and
It's
that
got to
be
be
it?
good.
And then House of David comes out or The Chosen comes out, which is like good quality. I haven't seen House of David, but if Amazon Studios is putting it together, it's passing some sort of, sniff test for this is good. So like, are we just lame and cranky and being like Christians should make good art? And then when a studio puts out, let's just call it for the sake of the argument, good Christian art, like, and we'll be like, well, it's not that good. Are we just talking in circles over here? How would you
Maybe.
respond to that?
That's
Maybe.
the life of being a critic.
Yeah. Yeah. Nothing ever satisfies us.
Nothing's good enough. And we're just going to be the talking heads.
Yeah.
I think it is an interesting trend that Colin brings up, though. Like, it's interesting that a lot of these shows are coming out now. And, could be good to engage with.
Yeah, the danger is, who was it? No, as you say, it was your coworker or something that was like, you need to go to we're going to this movie. The fear is that these things replace discipleship, right? Like people feel like they can go see the King of Kings movie instead of going to church on Easter Sunday. We
did the Easter thing because we went to the movies and saw King of Kings.
Yes, which even like going to church on Easter, like isn't the. I would love for people to do more in their spiritual life, but I'd be sad if all they did was go see the animated King of Kings movie. So instead of going to church on Easter. So I think that's my fear. Excuse me. Yeah, I just think that's my fear, that media becomes a crutch and not a supplement, to our Christian media becomes a crutch, not a Christian supplement. When you're like, yeah, it can be a good thing, but if it replaces the real thing, I'll use an example from my life. So I drink super greens, like an AG1 adjacent type thing in the morning. But I will often like tell myself, tonight I had a bratwurst and potato chips for dinner, but I had my super greens. So like it all shakes out, right? I don't really need to eat I don't need to eat my vegetables. I did this thing.
I drank them this morning.
I drank them this morning. And I think that is like, it's silly, but that would be the fear in our Christian life where we're like, well, I watched The Chosen. I don't need to go to small group. I like learned something about, which maybe The Chosen is like a good supplement, but it shouldn't replace the actual thing. Like I should eat my vegetables and drink my super greens. I should do both of those things.
Yeah. And I think of like when we were kids, Sam, dreaming of making it big and making movies and theater and all the stuff that we did. Like part of the vision here was taking back the culture and this mindset that like Christians needed to control the culture, and that would be better for the world if Christians were the ones infusing it with our narratives. And I just, disagree with that now. Like, it is good that our narratives are there also. It is good to have a moral universe, for a postmodern world that doesn't know what good is or what evil is. Like, it's important, to have stories where there's heroes fighting evil. That's good. But I think, like, for us to try to control all the airwaves and only put out our narrative is not going to win souls for Christ as much as it's going to make people abrasive to the controlling and make other people kind of think that they're Christians when they're unconverted and have never really turned to Jesus. And I think that the only example you really need is like medieval Europe, Christendom. Like, everyone in Europe is a baptized Christian. And at that moment, it kind of felt like nobody was, because just Christians controlled the government and the power structure. And so everybody had to be one. But who was truly like following Jesus and living a renewed life in the Spirit? And so, like, this desire for Christians to take power again, like, it's just not really good for discipleship and for people to truly know Jesus. It makes a lot of fake Christians and a lot of angry non-Christians.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we end on that note, that Noah doesn't think that there were Christians back in medieval Europe. So that's the big takeaway.
That's good.
I'm just kidding, everybody. I just was exaggerating and making Noah stress.
Maybe we should make a
God always
Christian
had a remnant.
office. A Christian office. No. Christian Parks and Rec version of no Christians being in the
in government.
Back in the I like it.
But like there's been so many attempts to like parody The Office, and The Office is so hard to parody. Like, I had the idea, like so many other Christians, there should be a show called The Church Office about life in a church office, and there's so many YouTubes of that. They're all awful.
I want to watch them all now.
I think I wrote a pilot. I think I started a pilot script for a office-based youth group, probably when I was 16 or 17.
What would it take for you to read this live on this show?
It doesn't exist anymore. There's no possibility.
Sam and I pitched each other ideas. We had some great ideas. One is the receptionist was a lady, but she was actually a pastor at the local like Lutheran church down the street.
Yes,
she
was the receptionist at the mega church.
Yes,
that's a funny idea.
Yeah,
she was infiltrating the complementarian church.
Yeah, we had some good stuff.
Okay, now that's content I would actually like. That's funny.
Thank you.
Paramount, if you're listening, call me.
Know some Christians will watch it.
Angel Studios, if you're listening.
Angel Studios,
and people who aren't Christians but would like to go to a Christian thing instead of church.
Yeah. Now, Staircase Studios is going to be a multimedia empire one day where we have our own podcast and TV shows and recording artists and stuff. So just you wait.
That's true. We gave up being pastors for this.
And that's where the levels matter, right? Level 3 or 6 or whatever it is.
Yeah. You're basically buying stock in this thing.
It's how much you need to give now so that we can make our first production.
Yes.
If you want to see the three of us make I gotta stop. Never mind. I give up.
Yeah. This is basically Apple in a garage right now. Like we are turning a corner.
We should actually record all this so then when they make the documentary about us or the biopic about us, we already have the content we need.
You know this is being
It's just like the Beatles.
Yeah,
they can release the documentary.
I call
60
Yoko.
years later because they had all that footage.
I want to be Yoko.
All right.
She just sat there in the whole documentary. She was there.
And then she
we gotta land this plane. We gotta land the plane, boys. I appreciate it. I loved those questions and always love hearing from listeners. If you have any questions or comments, thoughts, or feedback, we love to hear it. So send us an email at staircase. Excuse me. Oh, I'm getting the hiccups. Send us an email at staircasepod@gmail.com.
I think that's your 2 bratwurst coming back up, Sam.
Colin, you have officially landed on step 3 of the podcast, and Trey, you've are officially a level 6 member of the Staircase Pod family. So congratulations.
So we are going to be expecting a level 6 size donation towards Staircase Studios.
Yes.
I need better internet, so.
Yeah. Boys, do you have any final thoughts or anything to end on before we close?
Nothing
You all
serious.
set? That wasn't a question. No, this has been fun. This is good. This is just us joshing around and just cutting up.
Cutting
Just
the road.
answer questions. So, all right, Noah, you send us out. You haven't said anything.
Send us your questions.
All right, that was great, man. Bye, everybody.